Hi everybody, welcome to Painting with Pat. Today we're painting the Crown Chakra. We're using magenta, white, and if you have it, a little bit of violet, but we can also use any blue that you have to darken up our magenta a little bit, and then we can get those shadows in there. So whichever one you have, either one works. So like always, we're gonna start with our biggest brush. I like to use a large flat brush. This is about 2 inches, but 1 inch works too. Anywhere between 2 inches and 1 inch is gonna be great for getting in your background. And a bristle brush is going to be the best for that. So depending on the size of your canvas, you want between 2 and 1 inch size brush. So we're gonna get our background in. And I'm just dipping my brush into my magenta, and I'm gonna cover my entire background. So I'm just gonna get the whole thing in. So the Crown Chakra is our 1,000-petal lotus. It's located at the top of our skull, but also beyond. So it's what connects us to the universe. It's what connects us to the divine, to inspiration. It's thought. That's the element. The element is thought, our consciousness. So we're gonna get that entire background in there. And the Crown Chakra, the color is white. But of course, if we were to paint white on white, we wouldn't be able to see our beautiful chakra. So we're going to be shading into our petals, kind of bringing them out with some white paint. So we're going to have a variety of pinks for our chakra so that we can bring that beautiful lotus flower out. And also, you may remember that we were using a bowl to get that circle in there as our stencil, but today we're going to be using a smaller stencil. So if you want to look around for a cup, something a little smaller, because we want to be able to get all those petals in there. All right, so that is in there. And before I go to painting the edges, we're going to start to work in some of this atmosphere into our lotus. So make sure, and I almost did it, make sure that your beverage is separate from your brush cup, because I almost stuck my brush in my tea. Woo! Okay, so for our next color, we're just going to be dipping into the white. We're going to work wet on wet. So I'm going to take another brush. Now I have this brush here. This is about 1 inch. And again, you can use the same brush, whatever brushes you have, make those work for you. But I'm just going with a little bit of a smaller brush. Still kind of a firm bristle for this brush. And I'm going to stick it in my white paint. And then I'm going to go into the center of my painting, and I'm just going to start to work that white paint into the center. And as I'm working it, I'm using the broad side of my brush to get that paint on there, and I'm going every which way with my brush, so almost like making X's back and forth. And that's what's going to mix that magenta paint in with my white paint, and it's going to give me a little bit of a starburst effect, a sunburst effect, where the center is lighter and it's going out into the darker magenta. And I'm just going to work that all the way out to the edges. So you'll see that the white paint gets a little lighter or a little darker as we're moving out towards the edges. Just going back and forth, really working that in. I want that transition to be nice and subtle. And depending on what you have going on with your painting, maybe it's a little bit too light for you around the edges. Maybe you used more white paint than I did. So I'm just going to go back in with some magenta and just hit those edges again, because I want those edges to be a little darker than my center. just gonna go all around, maybe pulling some of that magenta back towards the center. And remember, our chakras are energy. So we want these brush strokes to look dynamic. We don't want it to be too smooth. So don't worry about any brush strokes that you see. That's all going to be part of the charm. So now I'm going to take some of this magenta and I'm going to work around the edge of my canvas. So now I'm just painting the very edge of my canvas. Now, if you're working on paper, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're working on canvas, those edges can tend to look a little messy, especially once you go to hang them on your wall. So we're going to paint those edges so that we don't have to worry about framing these, because they're going to look oh so lovely all together, and we don't want to see a messy edge once we hang them gallery style on our wall. So as you're coming to the end of this series, you have almost 7 paintings now, right? We're working on the 7th painting here, the 7th part of our series. So you're probably wondering, how am I going to hang them? Now, depending on your house, maybe you have enough height to hang them, stack them on top of each other. And especially if you put them right against each other, depending on how big your canvases are, you might have enough room to put them right on top of each other. But another way they might look cute is hanging across from each other, across your walls. They don't have to be right next to each other. They could be on different walls. So play around with this. Like, see how they look good in your space. See where you want them. Maybe your rooms are themed. Maybe you want to put them in different rooms. It's up to you. There's no rules for this. All right. So now our painting is nice and covered. The edges are all covered, so you know it's time for a yoga break. So anywhere you are, if you're sitting in a chair for this, you can stay in your chair, or if you'd like to go to a mat, if you want to stack some pillows on the ground, we're going to be doing a guided meditation today. Just going back through all of our chakras, reflecting on the paintings that we've done. It's just going to be really chill. So we're just going to sit on a pillow, find a stack of blankets, and find your most comfortable seat to go through this guided meditation together. Okay, so let's find a comfortable seat. I'm sitting on a pillow in our Sukhasana, our easy cross-legged position. And just get really cozy. We're going to start to warm up our body a little bit, just to get in touch with our breath and to get ready for a little bit of a guided meditation, just a short guided meditation. So first, with your palms on your knees, just sit up tall, maybe settle your weight onto the front of your sit bones and make sure your spine is nice and long. You can pull your belly in and up and then bring your shoulders back and down, making your neck nice and long. Tuck your chin in and you can lower your gaze or close your eyes. And just begin to connect with the space you've set aside for yourself as we wait for our paintings to dry. From here, we can take our hands to heart center, and on an inhale, raise them up above your head. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. From here, sit up tall, and we're just going to do a gentle twist. Turn to the right side and bring your left hand to your right knee, your right hand behind you, helping you sit up tall, and just gently twist to the right. Just a tiny twist, just to get settled into our seat. We're going to come back to center and take it to the other side. So you can take your right hand on the outside of your left knee and your left hand behind you to help you sit up tall. And then on an exhale, twist to the left. From here, we're going to come back to center, and we're just going to do a gentle forward fold just to really get our sit bones grounded. And just walk the hands forward and fold, maybe feeling a little bit of a stretch in the outer hips. Come back up. From here, we're going to do a seated cat-cow. So bring your hands to your knees. Inhale, round the spine. Pull the belly in as you arch your spine out. Maybe feeling a nice stretch on the sides of the back. Maybe on the shoulders. And then inhale, pull yourself in. Raise your head. Arch your spine. Exhale, pull the belly in. Round the back. Inhale, sit forward, arch your spine, pull your shoulders back, lift your head. Exhale, round the back, pull the belly in. And you can do this on your own, maybe with a quicker breath. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling 3 more times. From here, come back up. And we're going to do a little bit more spinal undulation from side to side, just like we did with our twist. But we're going to take our arms and we're going to switch them back and forth between knees. So our left hand will go to our right knee and our right hand behind us. And then vice versa, our right hand will go to our left knee and our left hand behind us. And we'll do this on inhales and exhales. So inhale to the right, exhale to the left. So let's start. We're going to inhale to sit up tall. And then exhale to the left. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And just kind of let your arms fly side to side. Coming back to center, take a deep breath and just sit with that sensation. That movement really brings energy to the body. It's really good, especially if you're kind of dragging, which I have been this week, to be honest. Kind of feeling a little low on energy. These sort of quick movements are great, especially if you're kind of trying to get back into practice. Maybe dragging your feet to bring yourself to your mat. Very energizing. Okay, so now that we're warmed up, now that we're awake, we're ready to go through the chakras a little bit and just remember what we've been doing for these past couple of weeks. If you've been following along with the paintings, we can go back and finally reflect on our crown chakra. So from here, let's bring our hands to our knees, maybe palms facing up. We can take a mudra, bringing the index fingers and the thumbs together, the 3 fingers extended. And then if you like, you can lower your gaze or you can close your eyes. And we can reflect on our root chakra. Here, taking a deep breath in, Bring the breath all the way to the base of your spine. Feel your sit bones grounding down, all of your weight settled there, and the weight of your body settling into the ground. The roots from the root chakra moving down into the earth, securing you into the earth. The earth is holding you. And this weight is not a heaviness. This weight is security. Security in your seat, security in your place here on earth. And then take another breath in and bring that breath down just above the base of your spine to the sacral chakra. Maybe imagining that light, maybe a red light from the root chakra coming up into the sacral chakra, turning orange. And feel the heat of that creativity, that creative energy. Our emotions lie in the sacral chakra. A physical love lies there. The womb, where we make things. Now take another deep breath in and bring that just above the belly button to the solar plexus, our power center. Feel how strong you are there. Feel your strength emanating from there. With the color yellow filling that space, surrounding the cylinder of your torso. Take another deep breath in, imagining the color green or pink for the heart chakra, filling you with love. This is your connection to others. That even now, even if we've been sheltering in place and only been connecting through the computer, through social media, through our phones, that's still connection. We're still together. Take another deep breath in and come to the throat chakra. This is our voice, our truth. A place that maybe physically we felt some anxiety because of what we're dealing with. Something that may feel unbalanced lately. It's okay. The chakras go through cycles. Here we can bring that chakra to balance by speaking our truth, by being outspoken, by communicating with one another. Take another deep breath in and bring your awareness to in between your brows. This is our third eye chakra. Imagine the color purple, indigo, deep blue. And notice if your brow has started to become tense, and try to relax the brows. Let them fall down the face. Make your gaze soft. And here, as our awareness grows soft with our brow, we can imagine the color pink. Maybe a spinning pink orb. And from that pink orb, light starts to crack through, maybe filling the tops of our head. And then that white light surrounding our entire body. The white light fills the room, fills your house, maybe goes beyond your house, filling your neighborhood, filling the town and the world. Here you can imagine your connection with the divine. Or just think on a time when you felt inspired. Inspiration can come from so many places. Inspiration comes in through the crown chakra and moves its way down, maybe as an idea, in the third eye chakra, maybe as a song through the throat chakra, or a poem. And as we share it with others, it brings us back to our heart chakra. Maybe this is an idea we share with others and we come together, gaining additional power, gaining help to bring our idea to fruition through the solar plexus, giving us energy. As we make that thing with our hands, as we start to manifest it, we come down to the sacral chakra. And then when it is done, we're at the root chakra. We have brought an idea, inspiration, and made it. And now it lives in the physical plane. And that's our root chakra. Here, take a deep breath in and start to bring awareness back to the body. Maybe wiggling your toes, maybe releasing the mudra, wiggling your fingers. Take another breath in. Maybe stretch your arms overhead. And then bring your hands back down. Blinking the eyes. And gently bringing the gaze back in front of you. And as we move out of our meditative state, we can remember that even though the crown chakra is above and beyond, it still needs to be rooted down through the body into the earth. So in order to reach enlightenment or inspiration, we still need to have a firm seat on the earth. And that means feeling secure in ourselves, feeling secure in who we are, feeling secure in our home. So with that, I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully our painting is dry by now. And just take your time. Take your time as you come up from your seat. Maybe bring, if you're sitting on the floor, maybe bring your feet in front of you. Hug in the knees. Rock back and forth. Maybe a seated cat-cow. All right, and let's go see if our painting's dry. Okay, it's a little tacky, but you know, we've got a trick for that. I do have my hair dryer here today. So if you have a hair dryer, just hit pause on the video and you can dry up your canvas really quick. So we're just gonna turn this on to its highest setting. And I'm just gonna take this hair dryer and put it across the whole thing. This is gonna get your painting dry really quickly. Okay, now we have a dry painting. So I'm gonna put my hair dryer back. Ooh. So if you've made it this far through the video, I'm hoping that you're liking it. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me move forward with my endeavors. So support, whatever YouTubers you're watching. It really helps them if you like their videos, if you subscribe to their channel, and also comment, let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you like. Let me know what paintings you'd like to see in the future. And here's a link to a yoga video if you want to do some yoga with me too. All right, so with that being said, let's move forward. So we are going to need a stencil for our painting. I'm gonna use one of my cups. So this is probably the size of a pint glass. It's like a stadium cup. So maybe a party, maybe the equivalent size of a, dropping cups. Maybe the size of a party cup, like a plastic party cup. And just for size reference, this is my stencil for the previous chakras. So fits right in the middle there. So it's just a little bit smaller, and that's just to allow for more petals, because of course we're not painting 1,000 petals. Oh my goodness, that would be crazy. But we are going to do 10 petals to start out with, and then it'll exponentially grow from there, as many as you can fit into your canvas. So it just suggests that the petals keep going and going and going for infinity. Okay. So now that we have our stencil picked out, I'm gonna find my pointy brush. So this one works. Nice and pointy, just a small brush, whatever you got. Also, if you have a small square brush, a small flat brush, that's also gonna work for outlining anything. Ooh, this one's my favorite actually. And then, when in doubt, your longest pointy brush is gonna be the best, because that's gonna hold paint for you really well. Okay, and then I'm gonna wet my brush a little bit and sort of dab it on the napkin just to get any excess water off. And we're going to dip it in our white paint. So I'm just rolling my brush around in the white paint, making sure I don't lose that point. And now I'm gonna take my stencil and I'm gonna find the center of my canvas. And again, like before, I kind of use my hand, just the width of my hand, to gauge that the space around the circle is equal, and that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna take my brush and then just stencil the outside of my cup. So the size of your circle is going to be very dependent on what size your canvas is. But if you're working with a 12 by 12 or even a 10 by 10. A pint glass should work. All right, there we go. Perfect circle. Okay, so now that our circle is in there, we're just gonna start putting on petals. So let's see, what do we got going on here? Okay, so we've done 10 petals before, and our 10 petals were with our solar plexus chakra. So we're just gonna work around the way we did there. So at the top, we had 2 petals. So I'm just gonna put at the top, I'm gonna make a little dot to mark off the center of my circle at the top and at the bottom. And if you have your straight edge, you can always use your straight edge to line up those dots. So we're gonna say it's right there. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to go across and make another dot. So starting with the top, I'm going to do 2 petals. And then I'm going to do 2 petals at the bottom as well. And this is going to tell me how big I want these 2 petals on the sides to be. Because if you remembered, doing 10 petals was actually a little bit hard because our petal needed to fit in the middle and then we needed to have room for 1 more petal on the other side. So I'm already seeing that this is going to need to be just a little bit bigger. Just a hair. And we're really going to be working into these petals too, so don't worry if you have to paint over them or if you have to redraw your petals, it's okay. We're doing a lot of petals. Remember, the more petals, the easier. So now I'm going to make my other petals at the bottom. And then I'm going to say those petals are about 2 fingers thick, so I'm going to put my 2 fingers or 1 finger on either side of this little dot that I made here on the left side. And I'm going to make my petal. Same thing on the other side. And again, you might have to redraw, that's okay. It's just the first set of petals. And then it's easy peasy from here. So now we have a space for 1 petal, a space for 1 petal, a space for 1 petal, and a space for 1 petal. All right, now is the moment of truth. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Okay, so we have 10 petals. So now we're gonna work our way around. I'm just gonna fix that one there. We're gonna work our way around and do a whole nother set of petals. So now we're gonna go in between each set of petals here. So right at the top, I've got a nice little spot to go. So I'm just gonna go at the top of my petal here and go make a frowny face and a smiley face and do the opposite on the other side, mirror it, and I've got another petal. So now we're gonna go all the way around. So our petals, they look like little Hershey's Kisses. Of course, they don't have to be this fancy. I kind of have a little method where I do a frowny face and it turns into a smiley face or kind of like a stretched out S or even question mark. But if you want, you can also just do 2 arches that meet at a point, and that would just be smiley face, frowny face, And it really just doesn't have to be super fancy. Whatever works for you. I'm just going to take this all the way around. Sort of stacking my petals here. All right, and then we're gonna work our way around again. So now going on top of our first set of petals, in between our second set of petals, just stacking them. So at this point, if you've worked from the beginning, you've probably found your method of making petals. It's probably just second in nature to you at this point. And if not, that's okay. And when we, have a lot of petals like this, you just really can't tell the imperfections. And of course, you see, even me, my petals, they're not all the same. Each one is individual and special. And we're gonna make another stack, and we're just going all the way around. And this is up to you. You can find a point where maybe you're just too close to the edge and you want to stop. You're going to notice that as you go around, maybe your petals are getting a little bit bigger too. And maybe sometimes it's hard to see. Like, how many is that now? And I think at this, what row are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at our 4th row. I think at our 4th row, we can call it, if you like, but it is getting a little cray. All right, so there we go. We've got all of our petals in. And of course, if you want to go through and maybe redraw one, maybe some of your petals are bigger, this is a good time to do it. And we're going to go around now, and we're going to start to shade in our background. Oh, maybe we'll do another set. I think we can fit another set. I'm going to do another set, one more set. Just to really hone it in. So we're going to do 5 rows. All right, that was a close one. All right, so we've gone all the way around our lotus. So now it's time to work around our petals, give our petals a little shading, and then work around the background too, and really make this lotus pop. So here, at this point, I really like to use a small square brush. This guy's pretty tiny, perfect for getting inside of nooks and crannies. So let's use this small square. And first of all, I want to work around the inner edge of my, around the inner edge of the circle of my chakra. So I'm going to clean up all those little spots that might have come into the center with some magenta. And just work my way around that edge. Just spiraling around here. And keeping those brush strokes circular, nice and dynamic. And a little bit of additional darkness in here is going to give us a space for our ohm in the middle to really pop, to really stand out. All right. So our center is magenta. I might take just a tiny bit of white and sort of work that into the center again. Maybe not that much. And just really hone in on that starburst effect. Gonna get a little bit of orb action going in there, maybe a little bit more magenta. And again, if it's not dry, you can always get out your handy dandy hair dryer and give it a dry when we go back to do our own. Okay, so now for the rest of the petals. I'm going into my magenta and I'm gonna start to paint the inside of my petals. This is especially important if you redrew any of your petals. And let's do one row at a time because I want to show you how we're going to create that shading with the white paint. I want this magenta that I'm painting inside of my petals, cleaning up those edges, fixing any redrawing that I did. I want that to stay wet so I can go back in, add a little bit of white, and make those petals look really like energetic, like they have some body to them. Brings the painting out of this sort of symbol or like sort of graphic feeling and makes it look more like a painting. All right, so now I've put magenta on the center of my first set of petals. So now I'm just gonna dip the very tip of my brush into the white paint, just a little bit, not a lot. And first, I'm gonna do one brush stroke in the center of each one of my petals. Just one. So they look like little squares right now. All right, and now that paint is still wet, so now I can go back in and I can start to just fan some of that paint out towards the edge of my petals. Leaving a little light edge of magenta that's right up against that white outline, bringing that white outline out. All right, from here, I'm gonna go back into my white just a little bit, just the very tip of my brush, and then I'm gonna do another square on the center of each one of my petals. Perfect, and then same thing. I'm gonna start to work that paint out a little bit. This time, maybe not as much as I did with the first dab. One more time for that final highlight. Beautiful. And then just a little bit, just very light fanning on the edge of that little square brush stroke that you just made. Gorgeous. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch more petals to do. So I'm gonna go right back into that magenta and I'm going to paint the next set. So here you can really, if your petals, if you have a lot of redrawing going on, then you want to fill that entire petal with the magenta. Or you can just concentrate your shading right at that very corner where the first set of petals meets the second set. And this is going to create a shadow, helping my lotus stand out from the background. So going all the way around.